Evergreen, a cemetery of over 60 acres of land started in 1891, abandoned, overgrown, and eventually re-noticed in 1971. An area abused by not only weather and nature, but also members of the community. This burial ground, once known for being the home of prominent African American business leaders and figures such as Maggie Walker, instead became known as a dumping ground. Remnants of the alternate use of this space remains with abandoned tires and seat cushions, but years of work have cleared the majority of this trash away. As one walks upon this monument in the plot of Pocahontas Mosby, one could be enraged with the disrespect, or intrigued by the irregularity. Is this just an old kitchen sink disposed of in the cemetery, or is it there to memorialize a life and serve as a monument in the plot? The sink sits about 3 feet off the ground, on a rectangular cement base. Upon further inspection, the base that the sink stands upon appears to be a corner marker of a family plot, something to designate where family property begins and ends. This corner marker has been altered unprofessionally. Upon first glance, one can see that where the stone originally narrowed, extra cement has been poured, and that the top of the stone is wider than the rest. This gives the sink a broader, steadier surface to rest upon. The stone is also centered in the plot, drawing the most attention to whatever lays atop it. Since the base has no inscriptions, it is likely that it was placed here by the family to serve as a base for the sink. In the plot directly next to Pocahontas Mosby's stands a birdbath of similar height and style, allowing for direct comparison. Both have a simple, rectangular base with a basin resting atop, both clearly placed for the same purpose. It is common practice for families in African American cemeteries to place vessels to catch and hold rainwater. Water near the grave is seen as an easy medium through which the soul can travel and a representation of the passage of the soul back to Africa. So why place an old kitchen sink rather than cast a cement basin or purchase a birdbath? From the single other visible gravestone in the plot, one can gather that it is not an issue of money. The stone commemorating Robert Mosby is professionally done. It is engraved with a floral pattern as well as acknowledging that it was made by Mary Moore. The commissioner of this monument chose not to buy a birdbath or have one made, but decided instead to fashion one themselves. A pattern through Evergreen Cemetery, as well as the adjoining East End Cemetery, is handmade stones and markers. Walking through, one can find stones engraved by hand or decorated with hand-placed pieces of colored glass in the wet cement. This is a sentimental additive because while they may appear to be a sign of financial reasons, many are hand-drawn on the back face of professionally made stones. In the 1990s, anthropologist Gray Gundaker traveled through the South looking at African American yardwork. Found on several lawns, displayed rather than just discarded, are old toys, tires, kitchen utensils, and home appliances. To the owners of these homes, these displays are sentimental and full of meaning. Many of the objects placed together belong to friends or members of the family that have since passed. These are not shrines placed, but rather items that belong to these family members. They are said to be placed there to mimic the old tradition of placing these objects on the grave for the strong spiritual connection. The kitchen sink is most likely an object either belonging to a deceased family member in the Mosby family or Pocahontas herself. It serves as a personal and spiritual connection while simultaneously following trends in the graveyard. This leaves us with the question: if this seemingly haphazardly discarded kitchen sink was actually purposefully placed to serve as a spiritual connection, how much of what has already been cleared is junk? And how much is sentimental?